This conference will now be recorded.
So welcome to day 2 of our success factor EC payroll. So we have seen whatever the demo in the last session. Just I'll be doing a quick recap on that. So in the last session, we have seen the equation of EC payroll. What is an EC payroll? What is the prerequisite for EC payroll, which is nothing but your EC and ECC plus your PCC. And with that keeping in mind, I will just today start with a day 2 session where exactly what are the things we'll be going to cover. I will just give you a glance. Okay, so this will be your total curriculum. Rather, I will say whatever the highlighted one, which will be actually your part of your EC payroll. You will be seeing a lot of stuff here. This is from a documentation point of view. Okay, so from a documentation and the success factor EC payroll certification point of view, the highlighted one, okay, the highlighted one actually those are part of your directly from your EC payroll syllabus. And other than that, the remaining will be your guide. Like these are the helping guides which you have to go through. Okay, so those are the different documentations, and I have also mentioned the page number here. Okay, so what is that documentation? I will just take you through. I will just which document actually I'm referring. I will just glance on that. So this is the documentation which I'm talking about, and we'll be referring it throughout our learning. So it is a combination of both your implementation guide, your project team orientation guide. So it's a comprehensive around close to 3,400 pages. Okay, so it will combine your all of your guide like project team orientation guide, admin training guide. There are some quick reference guide for training. Okay, for suppose if you would like to execute a particular activity, so what are the steps you have to follow? That we'll be covering there. Okay, then
So certification will be based on those three documentations?
yeah. So basically it is a lot of things, but you may not require everything from a certification point of view or a project point of view. But the highlighted one, like the topic number 2, that is HR 812 ECP admin training guide. So these are the certification point of view, the highlighted ones are important. Okay, but from a project point of view, you may have to go each and everything whatever is applicable for you in a typical project. Okay, but suppose if you are working for a US payroll or Canada payroll, then you may go for this topic number 15. Okay, but if you're working for any other country payroll, you may not require to go through that. Okay, so that is the idea. So it's a total documentation which is of 27, around 27 chapters and all. And towards the end, I have added my thesis and also some slides. Whatever the slides currently I'm using, I have also kept it in towards the end. If you see in this documentation, but I will updating the last part. That is topic number 27, which is at present almost 95% similar, but there will be some delta changes I'll be doing depending upon the current updates. Okay, so that generally I update and towards the end of the session. Okay, so if you see this particular document, so towards the end I'll be updating that one. Okay, so 24, 29, that is your last 2429. Okay, so towards the end you'll be finding all those deck, whatever deck is there, you'll be seeing day 1, starting from day 1 to day 2 till we complete. Okay, so those things will be updated, and that will be in your last towards this single document will be your one-stop solution for all of your documentation need, as well as your preparations, everything. It will be single document, and you will be going through all this document. So at present, what I'm going to do today or tomorrow, I'll be sending this provisional document, and towards the end, whenever we'll be completing, I'll be updating this document, and mostly we'll be adding some new additional features, additional functionalities, or additional updates. Okay, that I'll be updating. But for now timing for your initial learning, I'll be sending this document immediately. Okay, so that you can refer it, because it is very high volume document. It will take some time to read through. Okay, and say at the same time I'll be explaining, I'll be following the mind deck, which is actually this one. Okay, and today we'll be seeing today we'll be seeing this presentation where exactly we'll be seeing what are the different top 10 myths around the EC payroll, what are the different EC Payroll offering models are available. Okay, and what is the different type of implementation pathway, and suppose you are preparing for certifications, so what are the different roles, why pieces is required. Okay, all those stuffs today we'll be covering. Okay, so today will be, again, it will be more kind of a theoretical session, and next week time onwards, once we have sufficient theory covered, then we will be moving to our your practical, that is a lab session we will switch to. Okay, so before we start, like what is an ECP? Okay, so there are some top 10 queries people generally ask. Is it a separate product than EC? So what will be your answer? Any guess, Navdeep? Is the EC payroll from product point of view or license point of view, is it a different product? Do you think?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So answer is next, the next slide. So ECP, actually it is nothing but it is your same SAP's on-premise payroll engine. So whatever you have been using in the on-premise days, so same payroll engine we are using, nothing much. So it is delivered only in a hosted environment by SAP. Okay, so from a licensing point of view, it is a different product. Okay, so EC is a different product, and in EC payroll is a different product. EC is a prerequisite to ECP, and whenever it is, I'm saying a licensing perspective, suppose let's say client has purchased say 2000 licenses for EC, okay, for 2000 employees, but they have decided to implement say EC payroll only for say 1500 employees, say only for the executive people. Okay, so what they will do, they will do not require 2000 ECP license, they will require 1500 license at present. Suppose they are implementing EC payroll for 1500 people. Okay, so they do not require 2000 licenses. So from a licensing perspective, so you will be having like EC payroll is a different license, you have to purchase different licenses for EC. So whatever licenses you have purchased for your Employee Central, that will not work for your EC payroll, rather you have to purchase different license for your SAP EC payroll. Is that clear, Navdeep?
Yes. Okay.
Okay, okay. So there are some typical queries. Generally, people get confused. So for that reason, before we start, I just decided to go ahead with your some of the typical queries and what are the different. Okay, so that you will be clear regarding. Second one, which I have already told you, is Employee Central is a prerequisite to ECP. Yes, without Employee Central, you can't implement EC payroll. Suppose somebody asks why, because Employee Central is going to be your system of record. Okay, so it is the system
Okay.
of record for all of your solution.
So I have a question. So
Yeah,
there are some of the stuff we need to configure on Employee Central as well, right? On the EC side.
yes.
I remember when I took a training in EC, like I learned something about payroll as well.
Hmm.
Or maybe it was only time attendance.
Hmm.
Oh, that was only time management on the EC.
Hmm. Yeah, those there are some trigger point, like because it is an integrated module, your EC payroll is integrated with your
Like
EC.
you have integration between EC and ECP.
Hmm. Yes, that we will be seeing in the point-to-point integration, which is there in a part B of our training. Okay, so in that part B, we'll be covering what are the different configurations to be done from EC side and what are the configurations to be done in the ECP side, so that the integration can be set up. Okay, so that is a very detailed configurations and all we will be seeing those in the
Sorry,
part B.
do you have to do integration on the on-prem payroll as well on the SAP side?
So when I say on-prem is nothing but your EC payroll only, okay? Because your EC payroll is an on-prem engine, right? Engine. So okay, so for that reason you have to do those mini master configuration, like your basic PA configuration, okay? Like how whatever the event you have created in EC, those called in actions in your on-premise, right? Like your hiring, your transfer, all those actions to be configured in your action region to be configured in your on-prem. Okay, so for that reason, your on-premise knowledge is going to be utilized in your EC payroll whenever you are configuring this thing. Okay, So that knowledge is going to be reused. Okay, so you have to configure your EC payroll on premise accordingly, like basic configuration of your OMPA. Okay, those things to be done definitely. Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay. So the next one is your is time management part of your EC payroll. So it is straightforward. It is a no. Time management is a different module, and actually, whenever you are buying a license from ECP, so you do not get EC time off. Rather, you'll be having your EC time off separately. And some of the, if your organization is having a complex setup, they may have to go for third party vendor like EC.
Is that time management is a part of EC
Yes, EC
Central?
time off means time off is a part of your EC. But again, having said that, it may subject to change in the future because it can't handle much complex scenario. So for that reason, EC has means SAP suggested like some third party solution provider like your Kronos or Workforce software. Okay, so these are the different third party integration software. That integration architecture we're going to see in the
But
coming days. Okay.
what about can they integrate with like on-prem time management? Remember, there's a like SAP, like there's a time management module on the SAP side. Is there all
Yes, yes.
the
There is
integration with?
an there is an option, but again, those things to be configured in EC as well. Okay, because time evaluations is it was a robust in the on-premise days, but in when it comes to the EC time off, still it is not yet means those kind of complex time evaluation you can't run in the directly from your EC Employee Central system. So that is still in progress by ESAP. EC time and attendance management still is yet to, it is still in growing phase. Okay, so more and more features are coming up in, you will be seeing an update from SAP. Okay, but at present what SAP suggests, so you can use, if it is a simple scenario, you can use directly EC time off or EC time and attendance management. But if you have a complex scenario, you can tie up, you can you can take help from your third party vendors like your Kronos and Workforce software, which are more robust in nature. The all kind of complex scenarios they can handle. Okay, so in this learning journey we'll be seeing how to integrate with your Kronos as well as your Workforce software. Okay, so
Like,
in this
can
hmm.
I have a question? Sorry.
Yeah,
Do
yeah,
you have
please,
to do
please.
the integration between EC time and EC? Like, is there integration between time and EC?
Hmm.
The way we
Yes,
have integration here for ECP
so
and
there, that will be done, but again, so though then EC time off and in that integration is not part of the scope. So basically, your time consultant will be working on that. So EC time off for those, not integration, rather the configuration, I will say. The set of configuration to be done to set up that connections and all. Okay, so that it will not be covered here because that is purely from your time off module. Okay, so what you'll be going to cover here, the integration with your between your time off as well as your EC payroll point of view, that we'll be seeing in this learning journey. Okay? But there are, I will guide you like which document to refer for that. Okay, so you can read it through. Okay, so there are set of activities to be done in your EC time off. So how to create those configurations and all, I'll be sending one link or sending a document for that. Okay, so you do not worry. So okay, so that will be part of that. Okay. Hmm. Is that clear that time management is a part of your EC payroll this query? Hmm?
yes.
Okay, any other query do you have before we go forward?
Do you provide a training in EC time management by any chance?
Uh, yes, time off. Yes, I do have, but that is a different one. So we will connect then after once it is EC payroll is done, we can connect on that. Okay, so that is very simple. It's not very complex compared to our EC. Sorry, the
I thought like
on-premise time.
the time management is a part of like Employee Central module. I don't know like that because I learned some of the
Hmm,
the time management info types like
hmm,
stuff the
hmm,
EC like time off. There were like so many things that was relevant to the time management I learned in
hmm,
the EC module in Employee
hmm.
Central.
Yes, yes. So that is the same thing only, but it has more complexity if you go to the deep detail of the configuration. Like you see, time of more things are coming up these days. Okay, so that is how it is designed. But at present, it is a part of your EC. But very soon, it may
So,
be separated like your EC
so
payroll.
yeah, okay, I have a question. Like on-prem, on ACP side, there's also schema for the time management, right?
Hmm. Yes.
Like we have a payroll schema, like there's a time schema
Hmm.
on price, right? Like I was
Hmm.
wondering, did SAP has come up with the idea to do the integration between
Hmm.
on-prem management and EC?
Okay, so that is in the roadmap. So that is in the SAP's roadmap. Actually, it is not yet released. Okay, so that I'm not well, means I'm not be able to give an update on that now. Okay, because that is just, it's still in planning stage by SAP, but they will be updating us soon. Okay, they maybe in the next quarter or after that. But at present, the time evaluation is not there in the EC time of site. Okay, so the normal configuration and the normal transactions are there. Okay, but that kind of complicated scenario in time evaluation at present is not there. It is if it is a complex, then it is handled by your Chronos and Workforce software automatically. Okay, but that requires an additional license for them, and client has to invest on those third-party vendors. Okay, so that is how at present it works. Okay, maybe subject to change because SAP is coming up with new innovations every time. Okay, so that is in the roadmap as per the current update. Okay, so we'll be seeing soon. Okay, so that one. So shall we move to next one?
Yes.
Yeah. So next another queries people ask. My company has a like specific request or specific requirement or custom schema they do have. So can it be handled via your EC payroll, or do I what are the plans I have to do? Okay. So to answer it, yes, it's an absolutely yes. So you can whatever the custom schema you have written in your on-premise payroll, that can be directly utilized in your EC payroll, subject to there are some programming. Suppose if you have done any programming changes, like some if you suppose if you have used any body, or if you have called any custom ABAP program inside your payroll schema, so those things can't be handled. Okay, so those things you have to revisit whether that coding will be supported in your on-premise EC payroll environment, latest one or not. That we need to revisit. Okay, but having said that, your normal your whatever the schemas, functions, operations, and all, so those will be working because your on-premise EC payroll is nothing but your the backend engine remains the same. That is your on-premise payroll. Okay, so for that reason, the whatever the company has specific requirement and all, you can utilize those in the same EC payroll environment. Okay, so there is no change in that. Okay, so that is the things here. But as I was mentioning, if you have used any custom body or from technical side of the ABAP, okay, so that you need to revisit, okay, because in the EC payroll it may or may not work, okay, so that you need to revisit. And if you have not having the solution, then you have to go for the standard whatever SAP is provided. Otherwise, you have to think of and some workaround for that, okay. That is again depending upon your complexity of your EC payroll on-premise configuration, so that you have to take care of it. Okay, so the only hard stop here is actually your the any core modification of the program, because it's, as you know, EC payroll is more of a standardized product. Okay, because it is a SaaS product or a cloud product. Okay, so we do not encourage people or customers to do a lot of modification or the customization in the as usual like any other success factor or cloud module. Okay, so that is not recommended to do a lot of customization or the modification to the program. Okay, but having said that, your custom schema you can use still whatever you have used. Only thing is you have to do a lot of testing here. Okay, so that is the thing. So that is another most frequently asked question people ask, and there is a lot of myth around it. But to be clarifying here, so whatever the core modification is not encouraged. However, the schema, whatever the modification you have done to your schema, rules, your functions, operations in the schema, just or original schema, that still you can utilize in your EC payroll. There is no hard stop on that. Okay, still you can utilize that. Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay. The next question, another question people generally ask, can I use third-party add-on? Yes, but having said that, it should be certified by SAP. Okay, so whenever you are having any third-party vendor integrations like your Kronos, Workforce Central, or any ADP, or any other third-party you are using, okay, like in US payroll, they use BSI tax and all. So for all of those things, you can still integrate, okay, with your those third party, provided it is certified by SAP. And for that you have to contact with your vendor, or the vendor will be installing all of your stuff whatever it is required. And there is a note for that as well, like I have mentioned the note number which I referred during my project implementations. Okay, so this note number, if you start searching in your SAP Launchpad, it will provide the detailed steps. What are the things you will be whenever you are applying this third-party add-on integration. Okay, so you can refer that note, and you can take help from your integration consultant, because sometimes these are little technical, so you have to take help from your integration consultant as well. Okay, whenever you are doing any third-party integration, your role will be kind of coordinating with your third-party vendor as well as your customer and your integration consultant, and you will be, once those configuration has been set up, okay, so as a functional consultant, you'll be testing. Your role will be kind of a testing role whenever, whether those data is flowing from your EC payroll to those third-party vendor, or data is flowing from your third-party vendor to your EC payroll, both inbound and outbound. Those kind of testing you have to do rigorously. Okay, so like so those are things whenever you are dealing with any third-party add-on. Okay, so that is the thing here. And next query people generally ask, do you have a standard template in the integration center between your, whenever you are configuring any integration or interface between your EC payroll and finance? When I say finance, it can be your FICO, FICO module. Otherwise, it will be S4 HANA based your FICO module. Okay, so in both the scenario, EC payroll and SAP finance integration is exactly whatever we have used in the on-premise days. So there has been no changes in that. Okay, those integration is standard, so you do not have to require any kind of custom interface. SAP has already provided the standard program or standard interface between your EC payroll and your SAP finance. Okay, so you do not have to create any custom interface. Okay, so you have to avoid the creating a custom interface. Your standard ALE, your application link enabling, your RFC, those things will be there. Okay, so only thing is you have to set up those, establish those connections. So ideally these connections set up by your ABAPer as well as your integration consultant, but I will guide you, even in, because I was an ABAPer in a long time, so I know how to do this, and I'll be guiding you as well, like what are the steps you have to follow whenever do you, that is a little complex, but I'll be explaining whenever we'll be talking about the P2P, point-to-point integration between your two modules. I'll be explaining all those topics. So you do not have to require any custom interface. The standard interface will work there. Okay, so that is the thing here. So next query, or next people ask, if I'm using US payroll, still do I need to BSI? Yes. So do you have any knowledge about BSI? You must be having, right, Navdeep?
Yeah.
Okay, so what are the things you have to upgrade? So basically in US payroll, if you are using BSI, then you have to upgrade your BSI to BSI cloud, that is your BSI SaaS. Okay, SaaS subscription. So why we require it? Because EC payroll will not support your on-premise BSI. Okay, so if you have license from your BSI vendor, BSI software, okay, so in that case you require that BSI SaaS of subscription, the client must upgrade to BSI SaaS subscription. Only then you can integrate with your BSI to your EC payroll, because EC payroll is an cloud offering. Okay, so for to match the compatibility for that, so you require to upgrade your BSI to your SaaS license or SaaS subscription. Okay, so that is the only thing you have to upgrade whenever you are upgrading your system from your on-premise payroll to your EC payroll cloud solution. Okay, so this BSI configurations to be done, and it must be subscribed to a SaaS offering. So client or customer must subscribe to a SaaS offering. Okay, so that there will be no problem in integration. Okay, So that is the next query. Again, it is very specific to US payroll, okay, not for other. Another questions people ask, like, can I subscribe to an additional ECP instance? Okay, so sometimes what happens, because people want to test a lot of things and they want quality environment, production environment, and your so whenever you are getting lands normal EC payroll instance, you'll be getting 3 instances. Okay, just similar to EC your on-premise development, quality, and production. Okay, suppose if you require like some additional development client or 2 additional quality assurance. Okay, so EC payroll can provide that, your SAP can provide that with no additional charges. Okay, sometimes what happen, people want to test more and they want some make some training data on that. So additional license, if additional instance if you require, then you have to contact your SAP counterpart. Okay, then they can provide you that. This is an from an testing point of view or a subscription point of view, from additional license, additional instance. Okay, so next one is your another question people ask, EC payroll is based on your on-premise payroll. Does it have the same end of standard maintenance date as your SAP ERP HR does? No. So what does it mean? Like there is a in EC actually on-premise payroll. They have earlier they told to expire it by 2025, but at present they told it is around 2030 they are going to retire. Okay, so on-premise automatically all everything will be completely retired, but means SAP will not invest more on it. Rather client has to keep just to keep their lights on, so they have to upgrade to success factor or on S4 HANA. Okay, on-premise. Okay, so the or on-premise payroll engine will it will not be having the same standard maintenance date. Okay, because EC payroll is different product from your SAP on-premise payroll, even if the engines remain the same. So that time data maintenance that doesn't affect your EC payroll maintenance date. Okay, so this is a completely different independent activity or independent product, you can say, from licensing perspective. Okay, so that you do not have to worry about. Okay. So then having said that, the next one is your another query generally people ask, what to do whenever if it is not, my country is not listed. Okay, so like suppose say at present more than 40 plus countries are supported by SAP EC payroll. Suppose if your country is not listed in those, then still you can use for your Molga 99, that is your international payroll, the same way we have used in your on-premise. Okay, so you can utilize those, but legal compliance and everything you have to take care whenever you are configuring this. Okay, so you can still continue to use those international payrolls, your country, that is a Molga 99, for all of your non-supported SAP countries. But they keep on adding every quarter or every 6 months. They keep on adding. Last quarter, in this quarter, actually, they have added Egypt. Previously, Egypt was not there in the list of your localization for EC payroll. At present, they have added. So they keep on adding depending upon the localization and all. So these are the different top 10 queries generally people ask before we implement, or mostly the customer asks. Okay, so you can prepare it. Okay. So any questions before we go for the next section?
Nope.
Okay. Thank you. So next one is the what are the different types of offering, like what are the different offering in your EC payroll, that will just quickly glance through. Okay, so whenever I will be talking about the payroll deployment options, there are 4 categories of offering available depending upon your employee size and depending upon your service level, what level of service you require from your SAP. Okay, so when I say on-premise, so I'll just start from the top side saying fully outsourced. Fully outsourced means you will be responsible as a partner. You will be responsible for implementing your EC payroll, as well as you will be taking care of all of your admin activities from an EC payroll point of view. Okay, so for that reason, it is called partner managed cloud for SAP SuccessFactors solutions. Okay, it is completely outsourced, and all the activities to be done by the your partner, implementation partner, as well as the service. So the highest level of service is fully outsourced. That is another one model. But from an integration for your configuration point of view, nothing is changed. Only thing is the how to means what are the offering, what are the facilities the client is going to be received from the implementation partner as well as SAP. That is only depicted here. Okay. The second one is the cloud full AMS. So cloud full AMS is there are certain activities, only the key activities like your administrative activity will be done by your client, but remaining configuration, everything will be done by your partner, and to some extent all those AMS, of those application maintenance support, to be done by the partner. Okay, so that is the only thing. The third one is your cloud basic AMS. So here only you will be responsible as the implementation partner, you'll be configuring, but remaining things will be taken care by your client internal IT team and all. Okay, the fourth one is yet to come, it is not yet released. That is your purely on-premise S4 HANA for your EC payroll, around 2023, and it will be coming. Okay, so at present only we have these three kind of deployment options. Okay, so as I was mentioning, the partner managed cloud. So partner managed cloud, your every it is a kind of a BPO model where exactly your entire service or implements, everything will be done by the partner. Okay, so you will be having suppose where it is required. So I have mentioned that in the most suitable customer profile. So the customer who are having a complex implementations, and they have more legal and change management activities, suppose they require admin service as well as time benefit and attendance, all these features. So in those cases, this is a perfect offering by SAP. Okay, so you can contact directly from the any complementary services provided by SAP SuccessFactors. Okay, this is one type of model, but from an implementation point of view, nothing has been, you have to worry about it. This is just different types of services offered by SAP. Okay, so as I was mentioning, for managed payroll, suppose if you are having any complex time management benefit requirement and you are already an on-premise customer. Okay, so in those cases you can utilize this offering model. Okay, so whenever you are taking, your client is taking the license from SAP, they will be exploring all these three options, and they have to choose accordingly whatever it is required for them. The third offering is regarding, suppose you have already implemented EC and you would like to upgrade your to EC payroll, and you have third-party software vendor like Workforce or Benefit Focus. Okay, you have already do have. Okay, so you would like to integrate with them, so then you can utilize this offering. Nothing like that. The fourth one is regarding your on-premise S4 HANA based. Okay, so S4 HANA based, because it is yet to come. Okay, so 2023 around it will be released, but it is only for those customers who do not want to move to the cloud. Okay, who do not want to move to the cloud for the couple of years as a transition phase, because by 2030 SAP will not support more the on-premise. Okay, so for that reason, those 7 years, so 2023 to 2030, people who like to move to this sidecar approach, this is called sidecar approach. Okay, so in this on-premise S4 HANA, they can utilize and they can leverage the functionalities whatever they are. Okay, so slowly they can move to the EC payroll cloud in the subsequent, in the future, around 2030 they can plan for that. Okay, so this is only for them, but mostly we will be using the first three offering. Okay, the first three offering I have told to you, these three offerings mostly will be used. Okay, but from a configuration point of view, it is nothing to be impacted depending upon the type. Only this number of activities will be doing, whether you will be doing performing admin activities as a consultant or not, that will decide depending upon your offering model, how the contract has been signed with SAP and your ECP, your client and the partner, that will be deciding in that point, at the point of time. Okay, so this is a different offering model, nothing too much, it's just theoretical, just for your understanding. So next, then we will be moving to the next topic, that is your certification pathway. So from a certification point of view, what are the things we have seen? Now we'll be starting with that. Like your first topic, the part A will be your admin activities. What are the admin activities we'll be doing? And those things will be covered in the part A of this training. Okay, and it includes your basic introduction of your EC payroll. Then it is comparatively easier compared to your part B and part C, because it is an admin activities. So we'll be dealing with the front end of your EC payroll. Okay, so there are certain things I will be tell you. If you are knowing these things, then I will skip that. Like how to hire a new employee, you must be knowing it, right, Navdeep? How to hire an employee in your EC? Hello?
Yes, yes.
You
Can you
know,
hear
right?
me?
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
I was just asking, you must be knowing how to hire an employee. So for that reason, I have kept some topic like do it yourself, like means how to update, manage employee data, how to hire a new employee, because those are remains the same, nothing new in the EC payroll, like how to hire an employee, because unless an employee is hired, you can't update the payroll information. Okay. So for that reason, you should know how to enter the basic employee data, your basic how to hire a new employee in the Employee Central. Those things are the prerequisites here, or you can say it is a part of your EC payroll admin activities. But that you must be, because you are already aware of Employee Central. Okay, so I'm expecting that is a very small activities for you, like you can how to hire a new add a new hire employee. Okay, so you can utilize that. So there are some localization additional information that also you'll be seeing in the subsequent training session. So when it comes to admin guide, okay, so there are some official documentation which is a part of our training. Okay, we have to refer that stringently. So like the PTO guide, the project team orientation guide. So what is a PTO guide? Any idea, Navdeep, where exactly we use? Because it is a similar guide you must have used in your Employee Central training as well. So do you, what do you mean by an PTO guide? Just an understanding from you.
Um, project team orientation. I don't remember like in the employee central module. This one.
Okay, no
To be
problem.
honest.
So ideally people generally go through this. So whenever you are having your first meeting with your customer, that is your discovery, we call it discovery meeting or kickoff. Okay. So before we start the kickoff meeting with any module, it is not very specific to your EC payroll. You, whether you're implementing Employee Central Payroll, recruiting, onboarding, or learning, any module if you're implementing, so we generally share this document with the customer before say 15-20 days. Okay, that is called a project team orientation guide, so that the customer, they do not have to go to the entire documentation of this PTO guide. Rather, they have to just have a glance on that, means with at least the terminologies part. Okay, because these are technical modules which may have a different terminology, which is different from your customer language. The client must be using some other terminologies for the same activities or the same set of information. Okay, so just it is just to familiarize themselves with the basic terminology with your EC payroll and what are the different roles available. Just a quick understanding, take a means to help them. Okay, so generally we share this official project team orientation guide. Otherwise, you can tweak as an implementation partner, as a consultant. You can tweak this PTO guide, and you can little bit modify the original PTO guide and share with the customer. Okay, nothing like that. Okay, so this is one of the guide which generally follow whenever you are dealing with this HR 812, that is your admin pathway. Okay, so that is the first documentation we will be seeing. Okay, so second one is your admin guide, so which is actually your step-by-step process, what an admin is going to do on a day-to-day basis, that we generally cover in this HR 812 admin guide. We will be seeing that. Okay, so whether it is already part of your the documentation which I'll be sharing with you. So in this documentation, the first initial documentation will be your PTO guide. Okay, so if you go to this PTO guide, you will be seeing the basic stuff like how the payroll is processed, the basic from a process point of view, what other things are important. Okay, that we will be seeing here. Okay, so also from your EC payroll point of view, it is written in a very simple language, like your client can relate to it. Okay, there is no technical jargon, there is nothing like that. You can see the overview. So how a typical EC payroll screen will be looking like. Okay, what are the processes in the EC payroll, where exactly EC payroll, what is the entire suite look like. Okay, that we'll be seeing. Okay, so similarly from an RBP point of view, which we have seen in the last in our initial demo session, like what are the different RBP permissions are available inside your EC payroll. Okay, what are the different role types. So as I was mentioning, there are two major role in the EC payroll, that is the payroll manager and the payroll administrator. Other than that, we have a standard EC role like your employee and manager. Those roles will be always there. Still, you can customize So the client will be familiarized. Once they familiarize themselves with the standard offering, then they can relate to it. What is the going forward, what are the roles they will require. Okay, so just to have that understanding from the day one, we always as a consultant we suggest or recommend this PTO guide we share in advance, at least 15 days before you start the generally I do before 15 days I share this document with the client, only this PTO guide, so that the client will go through this and they will be familiarize themselves whenever you're discussing conducting the initial discovery workshop. So they will be finding little easy to relate to it. What is a consultant, whatever you are speaking, okay, they will be able to relate to it. This is just an guideline. Your client may have a different perspective, they may require different some additional roles, whatever recipe is provided, okay, that you need to capture in a workbook. Okay, that things we will be discussing in length whenever I'll be discussing the workbook, how to fill up a workbook for ECPA Role. That will be covering towards the end. Okay, but for a time being, you understand what is an PTO guide. So it is an guide for the admin as well as the payroll super admin or your customer. Okay, and but as you are also new to the PC payroll, you can also go through this topic. What are the different permissions available? Okay, from an admin point of view. So the most important part in the your PTO guide is a decision checklist. Okay, so in every section you will be finding something called decision checklist. Okay, where exactly what you have to do as a consultant or as an implementation partner, you have to ask minimum these questions. Okay, what are the questions have been mentioned here? Okay, so you have to ask to your customer during the whenever you are conducting the workshop in a typical implementation project. Okay, so these are different questions you have to ask. Okay, so that you will be finding straightforward in this PTO guide. Okay, so as I was mentioning regarding the employee management, how to hire an employee. Okay, so that you must be knowing because you are already certified or trained in EC. Okay, so those details also you'll be finding. Okay, so those are not directly part of EC payroll, but it is a connection between your EC and AC payroll. For that reason, so SAP has clearly mentioned how a typical people profile will be looking like, what are the different data points in your Employee Central. Those details you'll be finding in this in your ECP admin guide. Okay, or ECP PTO guide, how to add a new employee. Okay, so from the org chart. Okay, so all those details you'll be finding. Okay, so when it comes to pay component, what are the different pay components, what are the different pay groups. Okay, and what is an employee data replication. So data replication means once your employee has been hired to EC, automatically they will be replicated to EC payroll via a program. Okay, whether that replication has been done or not. Okay, there is a monitoring tool in your success factor that is called your data replication monitor. Okay, so you can always leverage this data replication monitor, and you can if there is any error, you have to troubleshoot there. So in detail we'll be seeing in our implementing whenever I'll be discussing the part B. Okay, but from a client point of view, so they must understand what is a replication. So it should not be a Greek and German for them. Okay, so whenever you are speaking replication, so they have must understand this topic before we start the your initial kickoff meeting or your discovery workshop. Okay, so they must understand what is a data replication monitor. Okay, even if they do not know the technical, they should not, as a customer, they should not go very detailed of the configuration part of it, but from a layman, from an admin point of view, they must understand what is a data replication monitor. Okay, at least. Okay, what are the things, what is the functionality of data replication monitor. Okay, they must know it. Okay, so from that point of view, this PTO guide is very helpful for them. Okay, so there is something called complete payroll task as well. So after the new hire has been onboarded in your system in the Employee Central, so there are certain, suppose there is any address changes or any new hire activities to be done, that still you can do as an admin. That is part of your payroll information. There are some pay statement. Okay, suppose what are the different section of your payroll. Suppose you have already implement or you are testing the EC payroll, then you must test this kind of activities like whether this pay statement is coming up or not. Okay, so there are different tax statement as well as depending upon your countries and all. Okay, so that information also you'll be finding. So what are this information you'll be finding, you'll be getting here in this payroll information. And again, for every topic in this PTO guide, you will be finding again a set of decision checklist. Okay, So whenever your client is going through this document, they will be expecting this kind of questions to them. Okay, whenever you are going to conduct your discovery workshop or your kickoff meeting, so the client will be expecting this kind of questions. Okay, so they must prepare themselves before we start the meeting. Okay, so that they will be familiarize themselves and they will make a note of that, and with that preparation they will be coming to the discovery workshop, so that your discovery workshop will be a productive one, not like you are asking questions and the client they do not know anything. Okay, so it is not like that. So you should always provide this PTO guide, this project team orientation guide, at least 15 days before. Okay, so that the client can familiarize themselves what are the sections or what are the topics they should go through. Okay, otherwise you can conduct a virtual meeting depending upon your smart setup and all. So they may come up with the same many queries before you start the meeting. Okay, so you have to coordinate with them accordingly. That is the purpose of your this PTO guide. This is a very high level document for your customer as well as the consultant. Okay, so that they can familiarize, at least the customer must familiarize themselves what are the different activities are there. Suppose I'm talking about the production payroll. Okay, so whenever in EC payroll we have 6-7 set of activities to be done in the EC payroll from the production payroll, like your start payroll, run payroll, posting simulation. So they should know what is the difference between your start payroll and the run payroll. Is that the same? No. So basically whenever you're starting the payroll, your all the master data has been locked. Okay, so the next step is run payroll. Run payroll means actually your payroll data has been created in the system. Okay, so they must understand this kind of terminology at least. Okay, so like what is the policies? So policy is nothing but these are the different predefined payroll alerts that has been configured in your EC payroll. So they should not confuse regarding this their own organizational policies and all. So these policies are different from their organizational policies. Okay, so these are nothing but your different predefined payroll alerts. Okay, the checkpoint to check your data from a your real payroll data point of view. Okay, so all of these things your client must familiarize themselves this terminology basically. Okay, what is a monitoring? Monitoring means your payroll manager will be interacting with the UI, the user interface in the admin section, and they will be finding the payroll related alerts point to there. Okay, so these terminologies your client must understand, and if they are facing any challenges, then you have to help them during your initial 15 days before you start the kickoff and all. Otherwise you can tell them like in the discovery workshop we'll be showing a demo, and during that demo it will be clarified. Okay, so those things you have to talk to your customer beforehand. Okay, so similarly we have something called production payroll activities. After your production payroll is done, there are some post payroll activities. So what are those post payroll activities? Like you're creating a posting document, releasing a posting document, you're transferring those posting documents. These are the part of your EC payroll and the finance integration point of view. Okay, so what are the things to be done? Okay, those things your client must understand. Okay, like so your sometimes what happens, your customer will be having their finance team or accounting team. They will be responsible for doing this posting activities, like creating a posting document, releasing a posting document, or transferring this posting document. What is the meaning of that? So those details you will be finding here. Okay, so these are different activities. And what is the KPI? So what are the different KPIs available in your EC payroll? Those details also you'll be finding here. So KPIs are nothing but your key performance indicators. So some of the examples they have given here, like suppose if you like to compare what was my total gross in the last month, what is the total gross for all the employees? Suppose you are an employee having 2,000 employees, what is my total gross for all those total so you do not have to create a report. Okay, like in the on-premise you have to create a report, and you have to compare with the May 2020 payroll gross to with your June 2020 gross. So that is nothing like that. We have a predefined KPIs available, like total gross pay, total net pay, total employee and employer taxes comparison and all. So all these KPIs are standard. There are more than many KPIs are available. So that we'll be seeing whenever we will be talking about your PCC, payroll control center configuration, that we'll be seeing how to configure a KPI, what are the KPIs available. Okay, that we'll be seeing there. But at high level, you understand these are the functionalities available in your team, and these are the sample screenshot. Okay, so this PTO guide comes with the screenshot as well, so the client can relate it to their scenario. Okay, what are the different payroll alerts, what are the things. So in this way you can follow this PTO guide. Okay, so those activities, what are the things in there, that we'll be seeing here in the PTO guide. Okay, anyway, so having said that, let me go back to the original admin pathway. So this is how an overview of it, how a typical PTO guide looks like. Any queries on your PTO guide, Navdeep?
So you're gonna give me this PTO guide today?
Yeah, today. Then actually, anyway, I'll be sharing this total guide. Okay, so I do not have to send it a different way. So what you are going to do? Okay, so you have to follow this link. Okay, not this reference page. There is a reference page in this guide. That is your serial number. ECP Project Team Orientation Guide is a page number 1 to 72. What does it mean? In this total 3,400 pages, okay, so till page number 72, it will be your PTO guide. Okay, so till that point, okay. So in the next page onwards, we will be starting with your admin guide, which I was talking, which you have to go through the next step. Okay, okay. The same sequence actually. Yeah, sorry.
So it's a big documentation. They combine all three together, right, in the one documentation.
Yeah. Whatever the part A, part B, and part C I was talking about, right? So all those SAP official documentation as well as my own documentation. Okay, so I have just make one single document so that you do not have to confuse, because there are so many documents in the ECP Payroll. Okay, so for that reason, I will be helping you with this, and I'll be sharing this entire note today itself. Okay, once okay. So then you have to go through. I'll be talking. I'll in the next subsequent sessions, I'll be telling you follow this page to this page, because it is not possible to read through 3,400 pages line by line. Okay, so for you, I'll be giving a task like these are the pages you have to refer before we come to the next session. Okay, so it is little hectic, but it is. I'm expecting you to go through, and some of the topics are relatively easy, so you may have to quickly you can read through. Okay, it's not very difficult. The tough activities will be coming around topic number 9 onwards. We'll be having little technical. Topic number 9, which is your part B, that is little technical. Other than that, remaining stuff you can just quickly have a fast read on that. Okay, so anyway, I'll be sending this document off from today itself in next once we finish the session. Okay, so I'll be sharing with you. Okay, so just that you can prepare yourself, and we will be seeing in the subsequent session what are the things we'll be covering. Okay, so that's just I'll be giving a quick glance on that. Okay, so like as I was mentioning, this first one is a PTO guide. Then you have to follow this admin guide. Okay, so all of your hands-on activities, like whatever I'll be sharing your SF instance as well, so that you can start hiring an employee and you just maintain those payroll related data. Okay, so those things we will be starting, and also have a glance on the RBP. Okay, so these two documentations are important from an admin activity, the part A. Okay, and even there are 4 to 5 questions out of 80 questions in the certification comes from this two area, primarily from this admin training guide. Okay, and your PTO guide. The very basic questions they will be asking, like what are the, you suppose if you're a payroll manager, what are the activities you'll be performing? Suppose if you are a payroll administrator, what are the activities you'll be performing? What are the different steps available in your payroll production payroll? Okay, so some of those kind of basic questions they'll be asking in your EC payroll certifications. Okay, so from that point of view, these two documents are important. I will recommend to read each and every points, and if you have any questions, you can ask me anytime. Okay, so these are the from understanding point of view. So typical payroll, how typical payroll cycle will be looking like and all. So payroll process point of view, you'll be seeing. So you're already familiar with on-premise payroll. So we have a typical payroll. We generate payroll results. Then we generate remuneration statement. That is nothing but your pay stub or your pay slip we generate. So once it is done, then we implement the bank transfer. So that is transfer to banks and all. Then we facilitate the check payment, or it can be an online payment directly from the bank. Okay, so in a typical process, how a typical calculation of an payroll looks like, I have explained here. And when it comes to the payroll cycle, so generally, and most of the organizations, depending upon their setup, okay, whether it can be a weekly payroll or a bi-monthly payroll or it's a monthly payroll. Okay, so depending upon that, you will be having a different payrolls, payroll area, pay cycle, and most of this actually in a typical traditional payroll cycle, what is to happen. So all these things actually you have to run through a batch program. Okay, or it can be an overnight batch job. Suppose if you are maintaining all this data and all, okay. But when it comes to the it was previously, it was very time consuming process, but when there is no little transparency, okay, so what are the things were done from an admin point of view, there is no why. Suppose you are facing an issue, okay, or as an admin you have to always talk to your consultant, like, because many a times I have seen from my experience in the on-premise payroll, clients are not comfortable reading the logs, okay. Suppose if you are getting any error, okay, so in the payroll log itself, it is very difficult for them to understand the log and all, okay. So they do not have those visibility, there's no little transparency for the admin point of view. But those things, like there are so many manual steps, there is consistent to maintain the consistent of a payroll results and all. But when it comes to the EC payroll, those things are these problems are resolved, okay. And when it comes to the simulation payroll, okay, so even if you are simulating a payroll in your on-premise, there is no cluster tables for simulation results. As you know, we have only cluster table for your production payroll, okay. So simulation payroll doesn't relate, it doesn't create any kind of waste type report or a payroll journal or any kind of this variance report, those so for that reason, even if the pre-payroll or simulation payroll is a successful one, okay, so still you can't see those things in your on-premise payroll, okay. So you can't see the total gross, total taxes, okay, waste type report, you can't generate a waste type reporter out of your simulation payroll, okay. So for that reason, it was one of the pain points. Suppose someone asks, Navdeep, what is the pain point in the on-premise payroll, why should we go for EC payroll? So then you can mention these kind of reason. Even if your simulation payroll is a successful one, even if it constitutes your all of your total retros or of your total error, still you can't have a complete visibility, okay, from a data point of view, because unless and until you're running your production payroll, your cluster tables, those will not be updated. And for that reason, you can't generate a report like your payroll journal, waste type reporter. So those reports you can't generate. So for that reason, there is no transparency. So when it comes to transparency of the payroll, even if the successful, you can't have certain data point in your on-premise payroll, okay. So those are the different pain points which I was mentioning. Another pain point was the reporting, okay. So there are a lot of transaction code, okay. So depending upon your country, whatever the countries you are running, okay, so those are made, all the reportings were very much transactional in nature, and it was not very user friendly. You have to, every time you have to download a report, and you have to do a VLOOKUP if it is required, and you have to again those manual transaction, those purely admin activities, so you have to do. So for that reason, it is also one of the key major pain point in the on-premise payrolls, so which we have seen earlier days, okay. So how to ECP payroll has eradicated this problem, they came up with the KPIs. So there are different KPIs available, there are different alerts available, so you do not have to run multiple reports and came to come to conclusion saying these are different two reports I have to follow, and you have, so I have to say, and download. So you do not have to do those things, okay. So for that, from that point of view, there are many pain points in the on-premise payroll which we have seen. And the third pain point, as I was mentioning, reading the log, it is highly technical, and if the client is not familiarized with those terminologies, they will not be able to analyze, okay, those what is an error message. Sometimes it is easy, so sometimes it is not easy, okay. So every time they have to contact your consultant, the payroll consultant, they have to, but they do themselves, they can't handle those error. Many times I have seen it is, as it is technical and hard to understand the payroll log and all, okay. So this is again a repetitive task they have to do. Reporting is too much transactional, you have to save a variant, and you have to download a Excel, okay, and for any kind of analysis, okay. So these are the different pain points are there in the on-premise payroll, okay. So how these pain points have been eradicated by the concept of payroll control center, okay. So we'll be seeing payroll control center, the backend configuration in the part C, but in the part A of this admin training, we'll be seeing how a payroll control center looks like. So today we'll just showing in the slide, but tomorrow I'll be showing in the system how a typical payroll control center looks like actually, okay. So how this payroll control center has evolved, like it has a terrific user experience, okay. So you do not have to, it is very highly interactive, okay. So it is very intuitive, okay. So all these pre-payroll functionalities are available. No more, you do not have to dig through the payroll log, which are technical in nature in the for any kind of system audit. Because KPIs, there are predefined KPIs already presented, and those are updated automatically. So you do not have to update manually those KPIs. Those KPIs are updated automatically without having going. You have to know to how to do it, okay? Because it is pre-configured. SAP takes care of it, and you do not have to go to detail of it. So that way, Payroll Control Center provides a very much good user experience for the customer. Okay. So as I was mentioning, there are many problems in the on-premise days. So for all these problems, to have only one answer, that is your EC payroll. So we do not have to the processing time. So whatever the payroll processing time, whatever the activities time, those has been significantly reduced whenever you are using EC payroll, and we are having real-time payroll, rather the online or interactive or on-demand payroll we have in your payroll control center. And when it comes to the payroll control center, we have three activities, okay, like the pre-payroll, which is called your one-click monitoring, okay, then payroll production, that is your actual payroll run. Then we have certain activities to be done, the payroll follow-up activities. Okay, so in this way we can think of the payroll control center as a new scenario, which is, these are the three major processes. Other than that, there are many other processes we'll be seeing later on. So in payroll PCC, we have something called policies. So what is the policies? So policies are nothing but different validation rules. Okay, so that SAP provides some standard validations rules, standard policies. Okay, and on the top of that, if the customer still requires some additional policies or validations to be rules to be created, you can take help from ABAP. Okay, so you can create a custom validations rules as well. So I'll be giving one example here, how a validation rules looks like. Like suppose you like to create a validation rule saying people who are not having info type 9, that is your bank information, the admin, payroll admin must get an alert on that. Okay, so whenever you are running the payroll, you will be getting an alert, people who are missing their info type 9 or the bank details information. So that is one of the example of your validation rules. Okay, and your policy is nothing but a set of, suppose say 10 or 15 different validation rules you have combined together, that is called your policy. Okay, that is your, in your EC payroll we call that as a policy. We'll be seeing that in detail, but for the time being you understand that is your, what is a policy. And similarly for your one click monitoring is nothing but your pre-payroll, so that is called your pre-payroll activities. Okay, so when it comes to EC payroll, the real innovation, so this is also we have already explained. So you do not have to double check all the things, you do not have to verify the data quality. Automatically it will be seeing in the real time. Everything will be real time. You can interact directly with the different users. Okay, so you can have different creation of policies will be there. Whenever you're running the payroll, automatically those policies will be triggered and it will be validate whether those informations are there or not. Okay, so these are different innovation points in the EC payroll. In a typical production payroll, how a typical production payroll will be looking like? It will be in the EC payroll, from a payroll control center point of view, we'll be having 6 different steps, like your starting the payroll production, then running the payroll. Okay, what exactly we do? Start payroll, whenever you are starting the payroll, your master data will be locked. Okay, so whatever master data you will not be able to update, but there is a exceptions here. Okay, so that was not there in your on-premise. Even if you have started the payroll, suppose you want one or two super administrator, they still be able to update your master data. So there is an exception you can also create. Okay, so for those users, they can still update whenever, even if you have started the payroll. Okay, so those kind of exceptions are available in your EC payroll, which was not there in your on-premise payroll. Okay, so that is the thing we'll be seeing detail in the future. That is start production payroll. Second one is the running payroll, where exactly you will be running the production payroll and your results will be created. So once it is done, your third step will be your simulating a posting. Okay, what does it mean? So you will be transferring. So whenever you are running the transaction for your payroll posting simulation, you will be creating some payroll data. So whatever the payroll you have already created, those payroll data in the production payroll, it will be carried and it will be transferred to the accounting, that is a finance module. Okay, that is the meaning of your simulating a payroll posting. Once it has been validated, there is no error, then you can move to the fourth step, that is your run payroll data validation. So whatever the payroll has been, depending upon your policies, whatever you have created, you have to just validate those it has been corrected or not. If it is not corrected, then as a payroll administrator, you have to assign those alert to the specific person, and they will be updating your specific payroll related data, and they will be correcting, and they will be informing you. Once it is done, then you have to ensure all the data is because data plays a major role. Even if the small changes in data, it will be lead to a problem whenever you are having a EC payroll. Okay, so for that reason, till step number 5, you have to verify everything each and every multiple times. So once everything is settled, everything is correct, then the final payroll run, that is the end payroll production. Once this activities has been completed, so employees, so your payroll for production payroll for those all those employee will be now closed. Okay, so this is the typical 6 steps approach we follow in a typical payroll production payroll in via your payroll control center. In the next screen, we'll be seeing how a typical screen will be looking like. Anyway, I'll be showing those things in tomorrow's session. So these are different interfaces will be looking like the payroll control center. What are the active processes? What are the upcoming processes? What are the completed processes? These things we'll be seeing tomorrow. Okay, like what are the things? But from a theoretical point of view, these are the different screenshots. Like what is the policy? How this screenshot will be looking like for policies? What are the screenshots for policy processes? Off-cycle payment. Okay, all the screenshots I have taken it here, and we'll be in the subsequent session. We'll be covering what other things are there. Okay. Similarly, you are managing user access. So when I say managing user access, you'll be having 3 types of role, and HR admin role will be is also an EC role. Means you do not have to create a different role if it is already, suppose if already implemented Employee Central. Okay, in those cases, HR admin role already will be there. Other than that, the 2 major role which I'll be repeating throughout this EC payroll. One is the payroll manager. Second one is the payroll administrator. So to very straightforward, like you have to understand what is a payroll manager. Payroll manager will be responsible for managing all the payroll, and you're running all the operational activities, like you're running the payroll, simulating the payroll, your health checkup of your entire payroll activities and all. Okay, but he will not be responsible for troubleshooting. Okay, he will be only running the payroll. Any issues he is facing, he will be telling to the payroll administrator. Okay, so payroll administrator will be a subject matter expert. So you just remember these 3 words: subject matter expert. Payroll administrator will be your subject matter expert of your entire EC payroll, and he should have all the knowledge regarding your how a typical payroll runs, what are the different possible errors, how to troubleshoot that. Okay, he himself can solve that. Otherwise, he can coordinate with the implementation partner or the consultant or any support team. Okay, so he is responsible for all kind of admin troubleshooting activities, solving those problems. Okay, and performing all those admin activities, or as well as he is a subject matter expert, as I was mentioning. He plays a major role in your typical EC payroll implementations or support. Okay, so these are the different 3 roles available, but you can create many more additional roles depending upon your requirement. Suppose you have an analyst, a payroll analyst who is a junior guy, and he is responsible for monitoring only these errors. Okay, so you can create an additional role for that person with his limited access. Okay, so you can follow a similar approach. This comes of your RBP. We'll be seeing all the details in the coming session. Okay, so these things, that's all for today's thing. We'll be seeing in the upcoming session what are the different process design and all. So all these okay, all these things we'll be seeing in the upcoming session. So before we wind up, any questions, Navdeep, do you have?
No. So I'll read through tomorrow, like whatever you've
Okay.
done. So I'll get familiar all the terminology.
Okay. Okay, no problem. So what I'm going to do immediately, I'll be sending this, my next action item will be, I'll be sending this entire document to you. Okay, so that you will be able to at least go through the initial documentations that this PTO guide, as well as familiarize yourselves with your little bit of admin guide whenever you're getting time today. It is not very difficult. Whatever I have topic I have explained in the slides, they've explained in a more detailed way. They've explained like theoretically, They have explained what is the means, how to manage the employee data, how to manage your what is the payroll control center, which I have explained to you. I have presented in a very brief manner. Okay, so those detailed examples they have given, like what are the things to be done in the payroll, what are the things happen in the payroll process. Okay, so all the slides or whichever I have shown, the screenshots I have taken it from this guide only, but I have explained in a very short, very crisp manner. Okay, but those details you will be finding, all those screenshots, okay, you will be finding here in this guide. So I will recommend to go through this guide. Take your time. I will not be rushing you, like go through everything. So you just go through each and every word of it. Okay, and if you have any queries, then you can always ping me in WhatsApp. I have already given my WhatsApp number. So otherwise, in the next session, in the initial 5-10 minutes, we'll be discussing what are the doubts you have, and accordingly we can proceed it. Okay, but admin guide, as I was mentioning, it is not very difficult to understand. This part A is very easy. Okay, only technical part is the part B and part C. Okay, so part A is very easy to understand. You can read it. Maximum it will take 2 to 3 days to go through this 200 pages around document. Okay, not much, just to read it through. And I've highlighted like some of the key points I've already highlighted in this document. Okay, so that you do not miss those points. That's all for today's session, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Same time, 6 o'clock.
Yeah, same time. 6 o'clock. Yeah, 6 o'clock in the morning. And the same link which you have received today. Okay, same link you have to use. Okay, and accordingly we will start the next topic tomorrow. Okay.
Okay, sounds good. So,
okay.
So you're gonna email me this document right now?
Yeah, right now upfront I'll be sending this document, and I'll be taking a confirmation on you, like if you have received our document. Otherwise, I will send via WhatsApp. If you're not getting it immediately, I can also send it via WhatsApp as well. Okay, let me check. If you are receiving, then it's well and good.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Thanks a lot, Navdev.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah.